Hochkonigman Ultra is supposed to be a quick reintroduction to the hills, to get ready for mountain season. I was gonna use it as a stimulus. It's a 50 miler with about 5,000 meters of elevation gain. And it was just supposed to be a simple timeout, maybe I think about 11 hours, turned into an absolute adventure with the race, ended up being canceled. So Hochkonigman race recap, here we go. Leading up to the race, I could see that the race forecast was supposed to be cold and rainy the whole time. And that's fine, but you know, not ideal just to be raining for 12 hours that we'll be in the race, but whatever, it was gonna be great.
Die Spannung steigt, die letzte Minute, bevor sie losgeht mit dem Start.
Midnight start, which made it pretty interesting, obviously trying to also manage the sleep as well. So we got underway, the pace was pretty settled. You hit a small hill climb, thought it was feeling great. Chilly, had the jacket on at first, took it off. Still running up this mountain and I was, you know, alternating between running and walking, hiking. But the problem was I was having trouble seeing. There's a lot of fog, thick fog, the rain, and there was wind. And I don't have great eyesight to start with. And so I'm not wearing my glasses. I do have glasses for nighttime, but I couldn't use them because I knew that with all the elements, it would just fog up and I wouldn't be able to see anything even more so. So this really became an issue as I was going through the first section of the race, and it was undulating and it would have been very easy running. A little bit technical in the descents with roots and stuff, a lot of roots that were coming across the path, cantilevered or, you know, sideways, and so your foot will slip right off this way, which was fine, but I just couldn't see that well. And to make matters worse, there's a lot of foliage coming at your eyeballs, and that hurt a lot and made me see even less. Would have been fast. In ideal conditions, they're extremely runnable, a really nice gradient, and some of them were just even on fire roads or dirt roads that the farmers use. But in these conditions, I kept feeling like I wasn't going to be able to find the route. And actually that happened. I did lose the route. I was following another runner. My watch would beep saying you're off course, but it was saying that a lot throughout the race. But after a while, the map display disappears and I can't actually adjust my watch when it gets wet, so I can't change the data field. So when the map disappeared, I thought I was back on the path because I could see the ribbons and the headlamps going off into the distance, so I kept following it. And the runner in front of me suddenly turns around and is like, yeah, we're on the wrong route here. And I'm looking at my watch and it beeps again, and the map pops up and says, you are 1 kilometer, like, as the crow flies, away from the route. Ended up being about a 20-minute detour we took. So me and this other runner were in 3rd and 4th, and we dropped to, I think, 6th place. But this was just a little indication of things to come. I think the main race of this series is the Sky Race. And we were kind of not the main event, which was great. It didn't matter. I just wanted to get a big training stimulus in. But the problem is, I think that kind of attitude was reflected in the course markings. Now, credit to them. During the kit check, they did check that I had the GPS on my watch, although I just couldn't see it that well. That's my own fault. So throughout the race, I was constantly worried about which direction I was gonna go. And one time I even chased cow eyeballs because they were showing up and they went off into the forest. And I thought that was the reflector flags, the flags with the reflectors on them, shining my light back. So I kept chasing these cow eyeballs through the forest. And then all of a sudden I'm like, no, these things that I'm following are just cow eyeballs. And so I had to turn around and again lost and just like really going slowly trying to find my way through this thing. But it was a pretty fun adventure so far. So now the sun is coming up. We're 5 hours in, 6 hours in, and it's been okay. You know, I've been lost, frustrated, but whatever. I'm getting a good run in here. Now the trails were pretty interesting. There's a lot of farmers roads, so it's very runnable, intermixed with very technical descents, as well as, and it had been raining forever, so they're extremely muddy and technical and slippery, mixed with things that weren't paths, or at least I was not on a path. I could have been not in the right spot. I think they're the path. And like, there's some really interesting sections where you're tight against a farmer's field fence, and the path was sloping downhill. And right here was a very rusty old barbed wire fence. So if you slipped at all, you'd be just like plowing along this barbed wire fence. So there's a lot of interesting sections like that. Now the aid stations also kind of got their inspiration from being the, you know, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, maybe 5th most important race of the series. And they were anything from just jugs of water at a section. I thought they would, maybe I just don't speak German, so I didn't understand this part, but they were jugs of water. So you get to an aid station and I was like, yeah, it should be around here. And then but you don't see it because, you know, it's really foggy and rainy, and you come up on it and you're like, oh, this is the aid station. There's 2 jugs of water here. Now the sun is fully up, so I think, oh, navigation is gonna be easy. But I was on top of the hills and it didn't get any easier. And there were sections when, I think obviously because the fog was so thick, but I'd be coming along the section and there's a lot of cow fencing all over the place. And since I was totally soaked, everything was soaked for 7, 8 hours now. I would be trying to be like, oh, is the path on the other side of the fence or is it in this fence? But I have to cross this fence and a whole bunch of fence crossings. I remember this one time I got to a T-junction of cow fences and I'm about to try and get over this one cow fence and it was electric. And I think because I was wet, it really sent the shock through me. So I'm holding it, about to jump over this fence and it's shocking me. So I'm like, getting shocked. And then I like back off and then I reach back and I grab another cow fence and that one starts shocking me. And so I'm just like, oh man, this is crazy. I'm just getting like shocked. Well, it was a very good stimulus. You know, there's caffeine, there's electric shock, and you know, whatever else you need, sugar to keep going. And now the course was getting into the higher hills. And this is about 2,000 meters. So we went up our first climb, a really spectacular climb, I think. And right at the top, we're going through snowfields. And I'm still in my t-shirt and shorts, which was fine at that moment, but I'm totally soaked. And I came up over a ridge and the wind was just gusting and it was starting to snow. I'm on a snowfield. I get up over this ridge and like I instantly become freezing cold. And it's now turning into a bit of a blizzard. Since the wind came so quickly, my hands like instantly went frozen because they've been wet now for 8 hours and they were already a little chilly and this just put them over the top. So now I can't use my fingers. So now I've got these lobster claws, like T-Rex hands, can't do very much. And I'm trying to put my jacket on, which I can't do because my lobster claws can't get them on. So I'm trying to use my teeth on my jacket. I did get my jacket on. And this first hill, after you come down, you come into where the drop bag is. It's actually about 2/3 through the race, but that's where the drop bag is. And I was like, oh great, this will be a section where I can go inside, get my lobster claws unfrozen, and then put my pants on that I have in my bag, as well as like a long sleeve t-shirt and all my cold weather kit, because from there, the race goes up to 2,000 meters on a ridgeline and it just follows the ridgeline all the way around and then down to the finish. And that's the race. So get to the aid station and it's outdoors. It's kind of just under a parking lot. And I'm standing there with my drop bag. So I have all my kit ready to go, but I can't do anything. I can't undo my laces for my shoes. I can't hardly get my jacket off to put the long sleeve shirt on. So I'm in a bit of a pickle and I can't do anything. I'm just staring and I'm shivering because I'm now so cold and there's nowhere to warm up. I'm shivering, I'm wondering what to do. So I decided, well, I can't get my pants on, so I'm gonna run really fast up the next hill. And if at any moment my lobster claws come back, I'm going to then put my pants on really quickly. That never happened. So I am really cold now. So on that climb up the final big hill to the ridgeline, I never did warm up. My lobster claws never thawed, so I couldn't use my fingers. And actually, it's been a week and a half since the race and I still can't feel the tips of my fingers. Anyway, I'm up there and I'm like, oh, this is not great. And now there's another blizzard because I'm back up high. Went from the rain, climbed up to 2,000 meters, now it's a blizzard. This blizzard actually started accumulating snow, and by the end of it, apparently there was about 30 centimeters of snowfall during this race. So I'm going along, the snow's coming sideways, it's hard to see. I've got my jacket on, but it keeps trying to blow my hood off. It was pretty intense. I couldn't do much, so I couldn't eat. I was able to drink, but I couldn't really do much. Like I dropped my pole once, and now I had waterproof gloves over my other gloves, so I'm not clipping in, but I dropped my pole and I'm having trouble picking up the pole off the snow because my lobster claws aren't very good. And on that ridgeline, it was about -2, so I'm going along this ridge for about 2 hours and the snow is coming in heavier and heavier. I've come to the staircase, cut into the snowfield, and I hadn't seen anyone in 3 hours or so. And a guy is standing there at the top and I don't know what's going on, and he's like, the race is canceled. It's too crazy, the race is canceled. And he's standing there, so he looks kind of official. And so I take his word for it and I was like, well, what do I do now? He's like, oh, you just make your way down. And I knew in this race, they said, if you ever drop out of this race, it's your responsibility to get to the start. So I'm like, well, I need to get back to the start because that's where my car's parked and everything. So I started making my way down, and this is where the race intersected with the marathon, I think the half marathon. There's a lot of other runners around, and they're all making their way down. So everyone's just following them. But my legs start to seize up. So my muscles are getting really, really tight and really painful. So I'm going so slow trying to get back to town. And it was 10K, all downhill. And it took me 2 hours to get down this hill. And I'm trying to run it. Well, it was like a jog shuffle run. And I do make it down there. It was just like such an experience from what was just supposed to be a simple, long training run, stimulus kind of thing. My hands were so frozen. I was trying to get rid of my poles. I had to put them in my teeth to put the little knockdown, chip my tooth, so it turned out to be an unbelievable adventure. Back in the village where the race is happening, the Sky running had finished and a lot of their finishers were coming in. So like they're having a big party. I'm frozen over here and I'm like, what do I do? And they're like, oh yeah, just go grab some pasta. So that was the race. I think it would be an incredible race when the weather was really nice. It turned out to be quite the expedition, quite an experience, and just reminded me that, if there was a chance that the weather is gonna turn bad, which it did go much worse than it originally said it was gonna do. For me personally, I know I need to have hot packs for my hands and stuff like that, but good experience. I got most of the race done. There were about 150 starters and officially, I think only 15 or 17 people finished, but it was a bit of a mess. I don't even know if they're going to count any of the results there. So, Hochkonigman, great race, cool area. Maybe try when it's sunny, nicer weather. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Next race is up into the real mountains in Verbier. Cheers. Thanks for watching.